review the American Revolution, everything that we know in terms of the battles that we've done over the last couple of days. So I have my handy-dandy soldiers up here. I'm sorry I had to do surgery on Hessians last period because I accidentally stepped on them. But they're now alive again. No worries. Okay, so let's start all the way at the beginning of... The beginning, there was an earthquake, sorry. Of the American Revolution, okay, up in Lexington. So, we know that here in Lexington, General Gage had ordered British troops to Concord. Why did General Gage order troops to Concord? Raise your hand. Why did General Gage order troops to Concord? Nick?
General Gage ordered troops to Concord to take all the weapons and gunpowder and to capture Sam Adams and John Hancock.
Okay, so he wanted to capture all those weapons and gunpowder that were there in that armory in Concord. He wanted to capture Sam Adams and John Hancock. So, but, unbeknownst to General Gage, rides a man from Boston, well, 3 men actually, on a horse. Yippee! Giddy up, giddy up. Okay, and who is that man and what is he saying? Bree?
It's Paul Revere and he's letting everybody know that we're
Paul Revere, anybody remember the other, another one? Yeah.
William Dawes.
William Dawes and Prescott, okay, are the 3 that are riding and saying, the British are coming, the British are coming. So who gets up out of bed that evening when they hear that Paul Revere yelling, the British are coming, knocking on the door, go. Haley.
Adams.
I'm looking, but not so specific. Tyrell.
The Minutemen.
The Minutemen get up out of bed. Why were they called Minutemen? Latia.
Whenever they were called, they would get up and get ready for it.
Yeah, and within a minute. Okay, so the militia meets them at Lexington. What happens at Lexington? Sam.
At Lexington, you hear a shot heard around the world.
Why is that first shot called the shot heard round the world? Destiny.
It's called the shot heard around the world because it was when the first person to stand up to the British Army.
Okay, it's like one of the first colonies or first people in the world to stand up to the British Empire. Why was it such a big deal to stand up to the British Empire? Maud Keese.
Because the British Army is so big, it was the biggest nation.
Yeah, the empire is so big, the army's huge, they have a huge navy. This is a big deal. Yep.
Also because they wanted to, they knew that that they were so powerful, like they would take their land if they could.
Okay. So who wins the battle at Lexington? Judah.
The British.
The British.
Yeah.
The British now control Lexington. Okay, they have won that battle. They've taken the armory. Okay? Okay, now we're going to fast forward a little bit. So, war's going on now. Actively, there are battles happening, and in general, the Americans are losing. They're losing more, and then they're losing again. So, next one that we talked about in class was Trenton. So, we know from our background knowledge that in Trenton, there was a group of Hessians. The black people represent the Hessians here. Okay? Not black as in skin color. The black army men represent Hessians. Okay, what do we know? What is a Hessian in the first place? What is a Hessian? Maya?
The Germans?
Okay, they are Germans, but specifically what about them do we know? Latia?
We know they were hired by the British to kill the American
to kill American colonists. What do we call people, Sam, who are hired to kill or hired to carry out war? Carice?
Mercenaries.
Mercenaries, okay? So, General Washington gets intelligence about these Hessians that are here in Trenton. Specifically, what does he find out about the Hessians in Trenton? What does he learn about the Hessians in Trenton? I want to hear from over here. Jasmine.
That they were like drunk the night before. So
Why?
Because they were celebrating.
Celebrating what? Okay, so these soldiers had been having a good old time celebrating Christmas, drinking and partying. They're passed out. They're fast asleep. George Washington says this is the perfect time to attack. We're going to carry out a surprise attack Christmas night, 1776. How does George Washington get from Pennsylvania over to Trenton, New Jersey? Nick?
The their army rows of like boats over to the port in Trenton.
Okay, so they cross what river? It's there on the map. Tyrese.
Delaware River.
The Delaware River. They cross the Delaware River. How many hours does it take them to cross the Delaware River? Jade?
9 hours.
9 hours. So they don't actually end up having to, or able to attack in the middle of the night. What time of day do they end up attacking? Haley?
Dawn.
Dawn. Okay. Who wins that battle? Destiny.
Oh, we do.
We do. Okay. We don't lose one single person on the American side. There are no losses of life. But we gain several hundred prisoners of the Hessians that are now ours. Okay, goodbye Hessians. Yes, sir.
So if they would have attacked at the actual time that he wanted to attack, do you think that they would have knew that they was coming?
No, because it would have been, either way it was a surprise to them. Both times, whether it was 8 o'clock in the morning when they actually attacked, or whether they really would have attacked at 3 o'clock in the morning like George Washington wanted to, they would have surprised them. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, so the whole entire Hessian army was partying, or was it just the 4?
No, that's a great question too. A regiment of Hessians. Okay? Okay, so fast forward more in history. We talked about this place, Valley Forge. Okay, so what you need to know about Philadelphia is in Philadelphia at the time, it was no longer our nation's capital because the British had occupied Philadelphia. They took Philadelphia. At this point, they had also occupied New York City. George Washington doesn't want to be far away from Philadelphia from when the campaign starts again in the spring. So he camps out his troops where for the winter? Haley?
Valley Forge.
Here in Valley Forge. Okay? What do we know about Valley Forge? Nigel?
We know that it's a big part now that's they had like houses for Britain, like what British had conquered for. And like it was about how George Washington and his army had to live with 1,200 men, with 12,000 men, and how 200 died from disease and they had shoe leathers and
Okay, so George Washington's a total of 12,000 men there. Nigel's right, 2,000 of those men died that winter. Why did 2,000 men, almost a quarter of his army, die? Sam?
Almost a quarter of his army dies because of malnutrition and cold.
Okay, because of malnutrition, because of cold. Specifically, what are these men eating? Chris?
Dry leaves and dirt.
Okay, dry leaves and dirt. What else are they eating? Jalexis?
Leather from their shoes and eating flour and water mixed with fire cakes.
Yep, so they're eating leather from their shoes. They're eating what's called fire cakes, which is just flour and water put on a rock next to the fire and cooked till it's hard. Yep, Rayshawn.
And anything that pretty much runs by that they can.
Yep, they wiped out the deer population. They wiped out the wildlife population. Haley.
They ate their own horses.
Yep, they started to eat their own horses. Good, we got a general sense. So because of disease, because of malnutrition, because of the cold, George Washington loses a quarter of his army. So, the army is now down. He has to recruit. That's what that primary source is outside the door on that you're doing your challenge on. So, again, fast forwarding. We've got Valley Forge under our belts. Okay, so, King George decides to send the British army where? Where does he decide to start moving the British army? Judah.
Down to the south.
Down to the south, okay? Now, he doesn't move the entire army. He still leaves some regiments in the north, okay? But they move to the south, transported by ships. They start in Savannah, take Savannah. They move north into South Carolina, take Charleston after about a month battle. Keep moving. The Americans meet them at, right here in North Carolina, Guilford Courthouse. Battle goes on there, okay? Battle's over. Cornwallis decides to take them here to the north to Yorktown in Virginia. Probably they cross pretty close to where we live now, okay? Quick recap before we go into Yorktown. So up here in the north we have Saratoga. Why is Saratoga such an important battle? We win Saratoga. Bye-bye, British. Bree.
The turning point in the war where the French finally decide to take sides.
The French decide to finally take sides and join us. So don't worry about the British flag. Pretend it's a French flag, okay? So, come sailing across the ocean. Who was over there with King Louis trying to convince him to send troops? Nigel.
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin was over there trying to convince him to send troops. The king finally agrees when we win at Saratoga. So, sailing across the ocean comes French troops. And so, these now represent French troops, okay? French troops come, they start helping us in battles, okay? Now let's forward to Yorktown, okay? So, George Washington gets word that Cornwallis is at Yorktown. He moves his army to the south, to Yorktown. They take the northern edge. Lafayette and General Greene come from Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina. They take the southern edge. Now, you notice Yorktown, if you look at the map here, is right on a river, okay? Washington knew that if he did not blockade that river, blockade it off, that the British will bring in ships and they'll reinforce. So he had the French Navy sail and blockade off Yorktown's river there, that runs right there. On the opposite side of the shore sat the French. So literally, the British were surrounded by Americans or French on any side. And for a month they carry out that siege, completely using cannons, completely just blowing the British to pieces. And eventually, Cornwallis throws out the white flag of surrender, and they surrender. That's the end of the American Revolution. Two quick recaps. I've got to talk to you about two historical figures, the Marquis de Lafayette and Baron Frederick von Steuben. So they come to the American Army. How do they help the American Army? Let's talk about Lafayette first. Go ahead, Rayshawn.
Lafayette, he gave the troops $200,000?
$200,000 of his own money. What else do we know about Lafayette? Nick.
That he was a close friend of George Washington, and he helped run like the army.
Good. Okay. What about Baron Frederick von Steuben? Jasmine.
That he was like, he helps like train the military or the group.
Okay. Specifically, how is he training them? Tyrese.
He training them by making them run drills and like teaching them how to like clean their guns faster.
Yep, load and fire the guns. Okay, questions on any of the battles? Haley.
Why didn't the French just decide that was after the Battle of Trenton?
Because we had still, it is very early in the war, they still didn't know that we could actually win battle. Remember, that was a surprise attack, okay? They wanted to see clear-cut evidence, and oh wait, they actually might win, okay? Yeah.
Can you tell us like one other battle that happened?
There are a lot of other battles that happened. What are you looking for specifically?
Like, never mind.
Yep, Maya.
Okay, so once we like got the Hessian prisoners, did they fight with us?
No, the Hessians didn't fight for us. What typically was done, and I don't know specifically what happened with the Hessians at New Jersey, but what typically was done was they'd do a prisoner exchange, where we'd exchange Hessians for American prisoners that had been taken. Okay? Okay, go ahead and go back to your desk.